The name is Luthando, BU Mthembu, and you've joined me for the review with BU. On today's episode, which is today's first episode ever, so it's kind of special. You've joined us, and we're about to speak about something that I hold dear to my heart. It's a show called Adulting. It's a Showmax original, and it's called Adulting Season 2, the one that we're speaking about, because there's Season 1. This is Season 2. It's produced by Cheetah Pictures. Yes. They've worked on shows such as The River. What else have they worked on?
They've done
Legacy.
They've done Republic.
They've done Republic.
River.
They've done River. Yeah. They've
Their latest one was Outlaws.
Outlaws. Is also, yes, also on Showmax. I think we know from what the repertoire that they're doing work. The stories they tell are amazing stories. And I had the privilege of being on the show that was done by Cheetah. On the show, I played the role of Vuyani, but we'll get into that a little bit more. Let me tell you a little bit more about the show itself. So Adulting is about four guys, friends. They have a lot of just chemistry. They're young and they're figuring out life, hence the name Adulting. So that's what it's about. It's about paying your bills. It's about making it work with your love life, with your friends, and where do they fit in? Do they fit in? You know, all those challenges that you might encounter within your marriage, within your circle of friends, within your choices in life. That's what the show is about. So, I watched episode 1 just recently, and I was actually live for it because I wanted to introduce people into my space and what I'm trying to achieve. The goal of this is to be as neutral as possible, but honestly speaking, we already know I'm not going to be neutral. I'm going to be as biased as possible. I was on the show. I love the show. It's close to my heart. But I'll try my best to just be as neutral as possible and share with you my takeaways from it and how it was shot. Just a few perspectives that you might hear from the horse's mouth. First thing, when we started the show, I was not so happy with the fact that there was no previously on Adulting. I was really looking forward to the audience being reintroduced to the characters, what happened, who was there last time, so that when the show is now moving, we know there's this character named Silo and he's involved in Bonga's life. And you would know who Bonga is because we've seen the preview. So I guess maybe they dropped a little bit of a ball there from my perspective, because it felt rushed. It felt like we're just going, you know. But that's fine. That's also maybe a choice within the style of shooting. Speaking about the style of shooting, another thing I did pick up is that it feels very dreamlike this time around. We're just wherever we are. We're getting a snippet of each person's life. However, we're not seeing how we got there. There's a scene in there where we were moving from the Eastern Cape to Johannesburg. We don't really see the road trip. It's more, we were in Johannesburg, now we're in the Eastern Cape, and that's fine too. So these are things that I've grown accustomed to when you're watching the Adulting world. It's fast-paced, there's a lot of banter, there's a lot of back and forth between the boys. So it's beautiful to see. So the story opens with the four gents. We have Bonga, who is the construction site engineer friend. He's like the father of the group. He's very protective of his circle. He loves his friends, but he's also very irresponsible when it comes to how he treats females. I'll talk more about that just a little later. We also have Eric, who goes by Tigiti. He's like the Kasi boy, the township guy who, you know, he's hustling, he loves his daughter, but he has this tendency of just terrible, toxic relationships with his baby mamas, etc. But I'll get into that also a little later. And we also have Mpo played by Tabiso, and I'll talk about the actors and the choices that they made as well, because I think it's one for the books. These are all fresh faces that we're seeing on our screen, so it's quite interesting that they're very, very believable from my perspective. And he is the married, faithful husband on this season. On the previous season, we saw that he wasn't so faithful, but this time around, we're seeing him as a faithful gent. All right. We will speak also about Vuyani. Vuyani is a character played by myself. Vuyani is he's the youngest in the group. He's a young gent, and he's trying to find his feet. He's hustling, and he uses his body and all the women according to the previous episode. Because in this one, he's changed. He's gone into a new leaf. But we'll get into that just now. So we open up with the bromance because that is the glue to the entire show. Honestly, 10 out of 10 when it came to casting. They did really well with casting each and every single character, from the leads to the supporting leads in terms of their romantic loves. So we'll start with Bonga. Oh, actually, let's speak about what happened. So we open up on a scene where we see the chemistry, and this time around we're seeing Tigi Tigi, who is Eric, played by Nhlanhla Lucky Kunene, leaving jail. So that's how we start. The boys are meeting up. We see the chemistry. It's fire. They leave there. But I won't go too much into detail about where they're going and how it happens. I'm just going to give you snippets because I do want you to go and watch the show for yourself. Just don't forget to subscribe to Showmax and watch the show for yourself. The scene that follows is one of the most craziest scenes I've ever seen. The boys decide to go to a strip club. Now, like I said, spoiler alert. If you watch season 1, you already know when the guys go out, they go hard. They hold nothing back, all right? So we have Tigi Tigi being reluctant a little bit about going out, but he finally caves in. His boys get him to go. We go to a strip club. In the strip club, we see some amazing dancing abilities. We see there's a scene where there's this stripper almost like on a skateboard, but it's a human being, but she's spinning. It's mind-boggling. And trust you me, you do not want to watch this with your family, with your kids, with your mom or dad. You want to be alone so you can watch this and be comfortable. And it is called adulting for a reason. Fast forward to why I'm speaking about adulting is because there's a lot of sex scenes and a lot of nudity, which I think is refreshing. I really believe that it's refreshing to see that in a South African context because we haven't really had that. So it's nice to have that. It's a change of the landscape. We have the first sex scene being Eric's sex scene. I won't now spoil how we got to the sex scene, but I'm going to give away one thing. Are you ready? It's a threesome. It's shot really well. It's amazingly done. Mr. Dlamini was the DOP, guy behind the camera who gives you all the angles. He did a great job. Kudos to him. 5 stars when it comes to how he worked the angles of that sex scene. We also had Bonga meeting up with the old acquaintance of his, Silo, we're seeing a little bit of those worlds coming back. His past life in terms of the love interest he had, which is Nkanyezi. And Nkanyezi is just going to always be there. And I'm sure everyone can relate to just that thing happening where you're trying to move away from a specific love life, but it just keeps coming back. It's toxic, but you want it to work and it doesn't really work. That's what he's going through. That's the Bonga character. We have Vuyani getting private lap dances and getting into fights. Yeah, we're fighting again. We fought in the first season, at Gonka, they fought. But they're fighting again in the strip club. I won't give away too much again, but it was a crazy scene. Moving forward now, tapping deeper into the meat of the show now. The storylines individually are powerhouses from my perspective. Eric, his storyline, guys, I'm not gonna lie, them having to take a road trip to try and regain Umaskito, Utsigitsigi's daughter, Unumisa, to try and bring her back, and them to only be rejected. That felt very personal. It felt very purpose. It felt like it was done on purpose. Very great script writing from Leroto. That's the script writer for this season, and I think he did well to introduce that world now because we need the meat of the show. We can't just ride off the hype and the sex and the nudity. What are we actually saying to the audience? So it felt a little bit more tangible. It felt a little bit more real when we saw the life of Eric. Now we're seeing that Eric, although he's back, he's still trying to adjust to his new life, adjust to his boys. He even throws in a few hints there. I think kudos to Nhlanhla for choosing things such as Dingupahla, Dingugeza. These are things that he said, and if you're of the Zulu culture, you will know that that's what usually people do when they've come from jail. They really, they tend to wash away the bad spirit and move into a new life, which he hasn't done. At the end of episode 1, we haven't seen him do it, but he speaks about it. All right? Moving forward from Tiggy, from Eric's life, because all we know so far is he's trying to get his daughter back. That's what he's pushing to get his daughter back. So we have Bonga. And Bonga's life is quite an intriguing one. Bonga is the one who's made it. He's the alpha male of the group. And within being an alpha male, there's also cons. There's pros and there's cons. The pros are you have all the money, you have all the girls, everyone wants to be you. See what I did there? Everyone wants to be you. But there's a hollowness of success as well. And it's something that most of us only get to experience once we've gotten to that, promised land, to that success. We've reached our goal and we're like, wait, something is missing. And that's where he's living right now. We don't know what it is yet, but as the show carries on, I'm sure we're going to find out what it is. Moving on to Vuyani. Vuyani has now grown. I'd say in terms of growth from the characters, he's the most grown at this particular point. The reason why I say that is because he used to be the blessee. Now he's the blesser. Who would have thought it? He works now as a personal trainer, as he calls it or should I say I call it? No, he calls it, he's a lifestyle connoisseur. And that's quite interesting. We'll see how long he keeps that up for and why and when he chose that. I'm sure there's levels and layers to the rest of the show. He's now in a relationship, seems like a healthy relationship, with a younger attorney or lawyer. Not too sure, is she an attorney or is she a lawyer? Do you remember? Or was she? A lawyer? She a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
She was a lawyer. But she's studying law. Yes, she's not it yet. So he has to kind of pay the bills and help wherever he can. And he has an apartment of his own. He has his own car. It's nice to see. I'm happy for him. However, I'm still curious how long he can keep that up for. And the last character I'm going to talk about is Mpo. I love the Mpo character. Why? Because it's played by Tabiso. And Mr. Romanti, hats off to you. You've played it so well that you've convinced the whole country to dislike you. And that means you're doing a great job. As an actor, that's kudos to you. We need to give you your roses while you can smell them, because it's not an easy task to do. Although the choices of Mratua, which is his nickname, are obvious. He wanted to have fun in a previous season, but now it seems he's got his life together. He's going to therapy. He's getting blowjobs whenever he wants. He's there as a family man. But at the end of the show, a curveball, a spanner is thrown into the works. I'm not going to give it away. I'm there. I can't give it away. If you're on the edge of your seat right now and you want to know what's the spanner that's been thrown, go and download actually go and subscribe to Showmax and watch yourself the first episode. It's been intriguing for me to watch. It's been a blessing to be a part of. And more than anything else, it's beautiful to be able to share this journey with you. So the most important part of the show, the rating. Now, also, just remember, this is my own biased opinion of the show. You may have your own perspective. Be sure to comment down in the comment section. Tell me what your thoughts are. Give me also your perspectives and tell me what you would rate the show. I myself would give the show a rating right now, not the whole show, but the episode 1. I'd give it a rating of 2.5 out of 5. So out of 5 stars, I give it 2.5 stars. The main reason being it's an introduction, so I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to be running out of stars later on in the show, right? But there's a few things like they could have walked us into the lives of each person a little bit better. That's post. They could have just tweaked a few things like last time on adulting. This is where we are moving forward, because it felt rushed when they didn't do that. But also, just to end on a positive note, I love the coloring of the show. I love the amapiano music that came in. It's songs that I've never heard of before, artists I've never seen or heard of before. So it's beautiful that Chetsa has chosen to partner up with Showmax and give these young, new, fresh faces a platform. So that's all from me. As BU, thank you for joining me on Reviews with BU. It's been a beautiful review with you. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.